What's the worst reason you hooked up with someone? She was hitting on my friend and he wasn't down, so he said, "Save me." Reverse wingman lol. Falling on a grenade for your comrade? Dick first, no less. I'm learning English. Please someone explain this response to me. When he fell, his dick would be the first body part to land on the grenade. Dick first. It is similar to the phrase head first. The no less is used to emphasize how impressive or serious the previous statement was. The joke was that not only did he sacrifice himself, he did it with his dick. I'm bad with words, sorry lol. We both had the same name and thought it would be fun to call out our names in the heat of it. Okay, this is like the best reason to hook up with someone. That sounds hilarious. It would be even funnier if the name were John. Something about two people screaming the name John as they grunt is hilarious to me. Now all I can picture is John Cusack making very passionate love to another John Cusack. Malkovich. She told me her therapist told her to have sex with me, so I obliged. Who am I to argue with a professional? Did you send a thank you note to the therapist or something? That seems like a terrible therapy advice BTW. If true, she probably mistook some sort of advice from her therapist. Or could be in the therapy session she explained that she wanted to ask this guy if he wants to have sex, but was too scared too. So the therapist said she should overcome her fears and ask for things she wants, since she didn't have the ability to just straight ask for fear of rejection or dislike her. She said the therapist story she told me too. Yeah, I thought this would be the best explanation. Still a little bit odd for her to phrase it like that to be HXD, but it could have just been her way to cope with it, like it's easier when I'm told to do it, rather than myself doing it, but it TBH literally throwing guesses. Breasts. I used to have a recurring pattern of bad decisions pivoting on nothing but breasts. 10 years with the same woman because of her breasts. They're still awesome. I hope you got a prenup that makes sure you get to keep them in case of divorce. Prenup. I was horny. Darn bro, really. At least he was honest and. Simple democracy. My balls told me to, and since they outvoted me to 2-1, I really had no choice. You conceded and made a peaceful transition of power to your balls. The seed of power is stored in the balls. Seed. Late to the game, but had a friend in college who shared a resemblance to me. We'd go to parties and introduce ourselves as brother and sister the whole night. Really play the part. Then we'd end each night making out furiously in front of everyone. Oh geez, my now husband and I used to do this too. These days we joke that we're not related and the other responds we have the same last name. That sounds like a great relationship. Can I please be part of it? My first long-term GF cheated on me when she went off to college. We broke up. About 2 months later, she got hit by a transportation bus and lost her leg. We had seen each other a couple times after her recovery and hooked up. Years later, I meet another girl with the same first name through a different ex, and she had lost her leg too. I was thinking, what are the odds of someone else being able to say they slept with 2 girls with the same name with both missing a leg? So, I did the deed. Please, please, please tell me they were missing opposite legs. There's a brilliant, in poor taste, joke in there somewhere. If the 2 of them have S, it's called a pair of scissors. Actually, it would be more like chopsticking. Almost dated in high school. Had a falling out in college and didn't talk for years until we both attended a mutual friend's wedding. We were the only single people there and neither wanted to go home empty-handed, so we didn't. What happened after? I find it hard to believe that you both just got up and left never to talk to each other again. Actually, the pillow talk after was where we patched things up. We're not best friends by any stretch, but we stay in touch and the hatchet is buried. Sounds like a waste of a perfectly good hatchet. The hatchet was their male reproductive organ. Was offered a box of donuts in exchange for my S. She only ended up getting me a half dozen. Still feel some way about it. A friend in college hooked up with a girl once, swore he'd never do it with her again. Next week he was drunk and she texted him that she made mac and cheese. He couldn't say no to that. Like the sound of mac and cheese, or literally. Yes. I just wanted to see her naked, the S was a bonus. Sees her naked, okay, you can get dressed now. Madam, cover yourself. My best friend she's hadn't had S in a year and asked me. We stopped being friends in any capacity after that. Darn. Was it that bad? Wasn't bad. Was just super awkward afterwards. Yeah, those situations can be hit or miss. I mean, my dumb ass would do it all over again too. Out of 4 I'm still really close friends with 2. If we're ever having a dry spell, we just get the deed done. Eat, play games or watch TV. Wouldn't change a thing. There's something comforting about being with a woman who's also one of your best friends. We know one another very well and it's fun. No feelings mixed up or any of that. We know the deal going in and great is how we feel when the deed is done. Being able to just lie there and laugh about anything is a nice feeling. If only every relationship could be so simple. Simple. You're a lucky man. To get revenge on my ex cheating, she was her little in her sorority or some bullshit. She had a terrible personality but was very hot. The fact that she slept with her big's ex-boyfriend says a lot about her personality. Yeah, that she doesn't care about sorority nonsense sounds like a plus. Now this is peak sorority nonsense and pettiness. Nothing about this is a plus. Sororities and fraternities sound like they're often nightmarish to be H. I'm glad I went to an Australian university that doesn't have anything like that. Edit. Out of curiosity, I looked up the culture in Wikipedia. And apparently it's restricted to Canada and the USA. In Australia and other countries, European universities in general were mentioned. We have student clubs and societies, but they're interest groups, hobbies and social support groups. Not so much a way of life as they seem to be in American universities. Because I was temporarily homeless. And it meant I could have a shower and a comfortable bed for the night. Edda. I did not tell the men I was homeless. I had some pride, lol. And I only did it a couple of times. We call this a hobosual. Wouldn't the person with the bed be the hobosual? Till. What is a hobosual? A hobosual is a person who has S with strangers to prevent homelessness. They're also called romantic hobos, love train riders, and hobosuals. The word hobosual comes from the word hobo, which means homeless person. It combines the word hobo with sual orientation. Darn, I didn't expect to come to this thread to learn. Stop ruining my ignorance. He cheated on me with his roommate's girlfriend. So obviously his roommate and I hooked up for some revenge. It was excellent and I regret nothing. This is just swinging with extra steps. If only they could get past the betrayal. I was emotionally compromised and wanted to use a person that I cared nothing about to make me feel better about a situation that I couldn't fix. I appreciate your honesty. Honestly, 99% of people do this at one point in their life, whether they admit to it or not. You admitting to it, even if it's anonymous. Says a loader, maybe I'm just like you and want to feel better about myself and I'm just a crazy. Rondo. Therapy, here I come. Noticed a girl picking up on numerous drunk guys at a party, taking them to a back room for a few minutes each, then coming back out, with the guys smiling. I was horny and wanted in on that action, but was too shy to act on it. Didn't matter. She eventually set her sights on me and I went, while I was in the midst of it. She was bragging that I was the 14th guy that night. Didn't matter to me at the time, but I felt disgusted afterward. I should mention this was pre-AIDS time. I did get an STD though. Had to go to the free clinic for a shot the next week. When you said that you were the 14th, I immediately thought this sounds like how you get an STD, and sure enough, gotta catch 'em all. In exchange for discounts on office supplies and Outback Steakhouse gift certificates. That's not okay, Meredith. Hooked up with Cougar on an airplane because she wanted to thank me for my service. I was 21 flying back from AskReddit when American Airlines upgraded my seat to first class. They sat me next to this cougar that had to be in her mid-40s that happened to work for the VA. We talked for a while and she kept buying me shots when all of the sudden she looked around and said, "When I get up, wait a minute, then come to the airplane bathroom when the stewardess pushes the tray to the rear." I did as instructed and was darn near torn apart by this woman in the worst smelling place ever. The weird part was everyone knew and no one said anything to us lol. After the plane ride, she gave me a hug and her business card and told me if I ever needed VA help, send her an email. Best care a vet has ever gotten from the VA. I mean, getting fed by the VA just seems pretty par for the course. We were near one another when the party wound down. Been here. It helped me get over my ex though, and gave me a real confidence boost that someone would choose me at the end of the party, even if out of convenience. I think it's one of the moments that literally changed my life and my image of myself for the better. You guys need reasons. That's what TF I'm saying lol. You guys are hooking up. You guys are asking about other guys hooking up. Drunk, in our group of friends, there are a couple of women. One time, I hooked up with one of them. We were both drunk after going out with just the two of us. We laughed the morning after and it was a bit awkward. We weren't even attracted to each other. Alcohol can do that. Is your friendship still the same? Yes, it is still the same. Maybe even better, and we have a lot of fun with inside jokes. Nobody in our group knows. They know. All the women know. I felt unattractive after my ex cheated on me and I needed someone to tell me I wasn't. Had been on the other side and it feels awful when you rely like that person and realize they're not available and just using you. Also felt awful the other way around, sad face, it's so confusing. In college, if they bought dinner, I was blowing them in the parking lot lol. I went to the wrong college apparently. Seriously, I spent my college days smoking W and playing Dota in my room. What a waste. Rent was due. Give me S. You'll get your ass when you fix this darn door. Because she asked. I was visiting a friend in a different part of the state and she introduced me to one of her friends and she gave her my AOL username. This was back in the late 90s. A few days after returning home, I received a message from that person asking for a one-night stand. A man has to comply to the AOL lady. It's just sound reasoning. To save someone else's relationship. A guy in our friend group that we only kept around out of pity was a big fat dude, arrogant, and just not a great person. Actually met a nice woman that he didn't deserve. What did the dumbass do? Invite another girl out with all of us in an attempt to make her jealous maybe. Understandably, his girlfriend was upset, and because she was such a nice woman, I jumped on the hand grenade. GD, that's an awkward friend group. I was happy when I heard later that night when he was drunk again and leaning out of his GF's Jeep as they were driving, and he hit his face on a 1-inch thick vine hanging from a tree, hanging out the passenger side of his girlfriend's ride, smacking his face on vines. I don't want no shrub. I was bored and he looked like a guy I was trying to get over. Reminds me of a time I was making out with a girl and she blurted out that she wanted to F my roommate because he looks like her ex. I grew up Mormon. My whole childhood it was pressed on us no S before marriage. S is sacred. S is only for reproduction. Nah, I didn't subscribe to that. What I did subscribe to, however unintentionally and unconsciously, is that women submit to men. The purpose of women is to exist for men, to make their lives better, to let them lead, to bear children in their name. This, plus all the modesty and purity culture and shame kind of internalized the idea I exist for a man's pleasure, but I didn't care about S before marriage or marriage even at all. I'm a feminist and have no interest in bending to a man's will. What is left? S. By 19 I had left the church and was going off on hookups left and right. I never had a good reason why. I was never even attracted to them. I was never interested in S itself. However, having S with men made me feel, however unintentionally and unconsciously, that I had purpose, that I existed for something, that I had value of some kind. The emotional transaction was what I cared about. These men use me. I happily go on my way feeling like I fulfilled my purpose and that my existence had meaning. It took me years to realize what I was doing, and now I am haunted. I'll never forgive the Mormon Church. And we wonder why I was in rehab at 21. Tell me you're doing okay now. Oh, they threatened to harm themselves. Then they shouted at me because I obviously wasn't enthusiastic. I was young and thought it would be my fault. Are you okay? I'm now smiley face. I honestly just really wanted attention. Diff went through a whole phase after a breakup with a guy that just stopped touching me. I think I just wanted to feel like someone actually wanted me. Relatable love. Young man and horny as always. I'm in my 60s now, and as the old saying goes, my junk took me places in my youth that I would not go now with an armed escort. Thank you for passing your wisdom to a 16-year-old. I salute you. Go get them, tiger. Remember, foreplay is important. A. I wanted to see this chick say, and I got 2F as a bonus. Low self-esteem edit. Instead of finding people who loved me, I found my validation through body count. I felt my success as a man depended on what kind of women I slept with and what quantity. How much money I made, and what I produced for society. Instead of loving myself, I sought the love through others. I've had badass with extremely knockout gorgeous women, while the best and most intense and intimate was based far from looks. I've learned I could have had ass for about 3 times a day over my lifetime into my late 20s if you did the math. But nothing put me to sleep like a good cuddle at night and a stroking of my hair, being held in someone's arms with gentle kisses against my cheeks. I've thrown that away because I was brought up believing that this is the best way to perform my masculinity. I declared to let society and the status quo dictate what I should like, and only to proceed with its blessings. My validation was the lustful and covetous looks from strangers. I became addicted to new people, and it made me become more lonely as these people became ghosts, leaving my life without closure. I'm an insomniac, and the loneliness keeps me up at night. It has caused me nothing but pain and suffering. Please hold the people you love at night, and be kind and forgiving to one another. Look for teachable moments, and try to heal the world around you. The people who hurt us most are sometimes the ones that need love the most.